The rain started before dawn, a steady hiss that blurred the river into a sheet of quicksilver. João kept one hand on the outboard tiller and the other on his cap, squinting at the darker band where the Tapajos met flooded jungle. I huddled under the tarp with my recorder zipped in my pocket and the camera sealed in a dry bag, thinking about the headline my editor wanted: "Illegal loggers vanish on Saysai Trail." We both knew the story wouldn't be about folklore. It was about men pushing the limits of distance, law, and luck, about a place where the state dissolved into rain. "Almost there," João shouted. Small, wiry, 30 at most, he had a white scar like a second smile on his cheek. "Aldea São Joaquim. They called last night. Dona Lourdes will talk if you bring medicine." I patted the rucksack with paracetamol and saline. "I brought more than that." "Doesn't matter what you bring," he said, angling the boat into a channel marked by shivering Acai. "What matters is if the forest lets you in." His words were half joke, half fatalism. Out here, the canopy had its own gravity. The rain tasted like old iron. The sky hung low enough to touch. We cut the motor and drifted past a sandbar where cormorants hunched like priests. João raised a hand, listening. The jungle breathed, a wet, slow lung. There was another sound beneath it, a muffled knocking, like someone rapping wood far away. "Macacos," he said, too quickly. We grounded at a muddy bank where a path climbed between buttress roots. The village materialized as the rain thinned. Stilt houses, a chapel with peeling blue paint, a satellite dish turned to the clouds. People watched from doorways. A dog limped across the clearing, ribs showing. A woman in a yellow dress met us with a gaze like a wire pulled tight. "You're the reporter?" "Marina," I said, offering my hand. She didn't take it. "I'm Lourdes," she said. "You have the medicines?" I passed her the rucksack. She inspected it the way you inspect something you've been cheated by before. "We asked for antibiotics." "Pharmacy in Santarém was out," João said before I could. "River's high. Truck didn't make it." Her face didn't change. "Come." We followed her to a house raised on crooked stilts. Inside, the air smelled of damp wood and boiled manioc. A boy lay on a mat, cheeks flushed, eyes bright with fever. Lourdes stroked his hair. "My grandson, Pedro." "I'm not a doctor," I said. "You right," she replied. "Make the man in the city come with doctors." I nodded, throat tight. I had written stories, and they had made men in cities shrug. "People are gone from the forest," Lourdes continued, looking past me to the rain. "First the men with chainsaws, then the ones who chased them, then river people. 3 boats didn't come back. The old ones say it is Curupira, angry at footprints going the wrong way." João laughed softly, respectful with disbelief. "The ones taking mahogany leave plenty of tracks." Lourdes looked at his feet. "You brought her. That is track enough." The knocking came again, closer. "Not monkeys." 3 beats, then a pause, then 3 again. Lourdes's mouth thinned. "What is that?" I asked. "The Kaikara on the north bank," João said to me, but his eyes were on Lourdes. "Loggers nail planks. Sound carries. No one builds when the rain comes," Lourdes said. "It is something calling. We don't answer after dark." "It's dawn," I said. She shook her head. "Here, dark starts early. Remember that." By afternoon the rain slackened to needles. João bartered fuel for cassava flour and green oranges while I recorded interviews under the chapel eaves. Voices dropped when I asked about the vanished boats. Fishermen glanced at the tree line. A girl showed me a sketch of a footprint with toes pointing back toward the heel. "That's how he walks," she said. "Who?" I asked. "The one who watches," she said, and would not say more. Lurds brewed coffee thick as river mud and told me names. Roni, who hunted Pocker when money ran short. Demas and Victor, cousins who ran a skiff. A teacher named Litisha on her way to the city who never arrived. She spoke them like a litany. At the end, she added, "My brother Paolo. He went to the north bank when the knocking started. Said it was men stealing timber. Said he would stop them." "When was that?" I asked. 10 days, she said. "Or 11. Time gets loose in the rain." The knocking rolled across the water again, steady as a metronome. João looked at me over his cup. "If we go now, we get there before dark." We pushed off with a borrowed pole. The Tapajos widened, glassy brown under a lid of cloud. Twice we passed islands of floating debris, palm fronds, bottles, a child's flip-flop. Near the north bank, the odor changed, sweet rot laced with diesel. A heron flew up, wings mechanical. We tied to a submerged trunk and climbed the slick bank. The forest closed like a fist. João moved ahead, machete low, flicking lianas from our path. The knocking grew distinct. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. It wasn't nails. It was deeper, resonant, as if struck into heartwood. I found the first footprint where the trail bent around a fallen kapok. At a glance it looked normal. Then my brain swiveled. The toes pointed toward us, but the deeper pressure was at the heel, as if the person had stepped away. "Someone walked backward," João said. "Hunters do this. Or jokers. Jokers that took boats," I said. The camp appeared on higher ground, tarps slumped on poles, a generator tangled with vines, a chainsaw with its chain neatly coiled. No men. No ash. A line of planks lay stacked at the river's lip, planed smooth and beaded with rain. On the nearest plank someone had carved, "Volta. Go back." I took photos. João circled the generator. "Still warm," he murmured. "How?" He shrugged. "Someone's homesick." We followed a cable from the generator into the trees. It ended in a steel spike hammered into a trunk. A wire strung from the spike to a crude box faced with glass. Behind the glass a black film pulsed, shrinking and expanding like a quiet breath. The knocking thudded through my jaw. "What is it?" I whispered. "Sensor," João said. "I saw this at a mine. Sends a signal to a phone tower. There's no tower." He tapped the glass. The pulse quickened. The 3-beat knock sped until it was a tremor. João stepped back. "Maybe it's nothing mystical," I said. "Maybe it scares animals. Or people." We returned to the river with the light already bruising. A fine drift fell from the canopy like ash. I felt watched. At the waterline, our boat had moved. It sat 5 downriver, rope just cut. On the sand between where it had been and where it was now, 2 prints faced us, toes toward us. Heels sunk deep as if whoever stood there leaned away into the river, and still didn't fall. We slept in the camp because the river went black too fast to risk moving. The generator sputtered once and died, leaving us with a headlamp and the wet chorus of frogs. I wrote notes by feel, the box in the tree, the prints that faced the wrong way, the carved warning. João sharpened his machete with short strokes. "You're quiet," I said. "Listening," he said. "Rain has voices. You learn which ones belong." He doused the headlamp. The dark had weight. The knocking returned, steady as a heart trained by rowing. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. Then, a skittering whisper to our left, like a child laughing into a cupped hand. The hair on my forearms lifted. "Jokers," I whispered. "No," he said. "Wind." The whisper repeated on the right. I swallowed coffee cold from a thermos. The forest sighed. Something moved at the edge of camp, not heavy, but deliberate. I watched the plank where Volta was carved as if the word could turn back more than bodies. After midnight, a light flickered between trunks as if someone struck a match cupped against rain. João and I froze. It winked again, higher this time. Then another light, deeper in, then another. They moved in a curve like a necklace being lifted. "Fireflies," I said. "They don't climb that way," he said. The third light steadied, then blinked 3 times. Pause. 3 times. It was a code. "People," I whispered. João caught my wrist. "Or something that wants you to think so." We waited, counting. 3. Pause. 3. The pattern matched the knock too perfectly. It threaded my nerves until the urge to answer rose like nausea. I tore a page from my notebook, rolled it tight, and touched the headlamp switch to make a thin beam. João swore softly, but didn't stop me. I blinked 3 times. Pause. 3. Silence. The frogs halted. Far off, something thrashed once and went still. Then, from behind us where the river should have been, came an echo. 3 dull taps, as if a hand struck wet wood. We spun. The boat's silhouette was a deeper shade of dark. I wanted to run, but my feet were heavy. João breathed through his nose, long and slow. "Go," he said, almost inaudible. We moved, not quite running. At the bank the rope floated, slick as eel skin. The boat was there, but its bow faced upriver now, and the outboard tilted half out of the water, propeller nicked. The gas line hung free like a cut vein. "Someone's playing," João said. He put a hand on the hull. "Still warm." "I can row," I said. "Against that." The current muscled past, swallowing branches. We wait for day. We dragged the skiff back to the mud and sat with our backs to it, the machete across João's knees. I slept at night. I dreamed of a child walking backward into trees that opened like a mouth. When I woke, dawn pressed grey against the canopy. The frogs had stopped. The knocking had stopped. We were not alone. A girl stood at the treeline, the same one with the drawing. She was soaked, hair stuck to her temples. Her expression was stubbornly unafraid. "Dona Lourdes sent me," she said. "Pedro is worse. She said bring you." "How did you find us?" I asked. She pointed without looking. On the bank behind her, parallel rows of prints marched toward us, toes our way. They led from nowhere. They ended at her feet. "I followed the path," she said. "The forest leaves one if you ask right." The girl's name was Naira. She led without looking back, skirting the edge where the bank slid into the river, then cutting up through trees. João followed her prints with the wariness of a man counting snakes. "Lourdes trusts you," I said. "She trusts the forest more," Naira said. The ground rose to a ridge. In a clearing stood a lattice of poles and wires, a rack of batteries, and 4 wooden boxes like the one we'd seen. A bearded man stepped out, eyes bright with fever, a bandage on his left hand. "Paulo," Naira said. He nodded, gaze touching João. "You built this," I said. He tapped a box. The black film fluttered. "Noise goes through bone," he said. "Makes your stomach drop. Men run. Boats drift. The forest buys time." Did you take the boats? I asked. The river took, he said, sometimes louder than we asked. Pedro is worse, Naira said. Paulo's jaw worked. The radio's dead. Batteries for this. The knocking came again, from the south, the same triplet. Paulo flipped a lever. The nearest box went dark. That's not ours. Branches cracked. 3 men in ponchos stepped into the clearing, rifles low. A 4th followed. Afternoon, he said, voice easy. He lifted his brim. A white scar cut his cheek, on the opposite side of Joao's. Our Joao kept very still. Cousin, he said. Marcio, Joao added. Marcio gestured to the boxes. Turn them back on. Noise keeps the river people from hearing us work. The fear machine wasn't guarding the forest. It was cloaking saws. Paulo shook his head. We changed the pattern. It warns now. 3 knocks, Marcio said. Cute. She'll write we were ghosts. Joao stepped into the rifles line. She writes names, he said. Yours. Come back to the boat, Marcio told him. You know what happens if you don't. I do, Joao said. That's why I won't. He slammed a lever. The box loosed a low moan and the ground blurred. The men flinched. Paulo ripped a wire free. We ran. The forest laced and unlaced. Shouting followed, then a crack like a branch or a gun. At the ridge's foot the path forked. Right, Naira hissed. Joao grabbed my elbow. Boat, he gasped. Go to the bend. Don't stop. What about you? He gave me a crooked smile. I'll leave tracks. He pivoted left and stamped deep heels, toes barely touching, backing into the green. Then the leaves took him. We burst onto the bank. Our skiff rocked in place as if tied by invisible hands. Naira didn't ask questions. We shoved off. The current took us. The knocking faded. Paulo stayed with the boxes, bandaged hand raised like a vow. Whether he faced Marcio or the river, I didn't see. Fog erased the space between them. When we reached São Joaquim, Lourdes waited at the water. Pedro's fever had broken. The river carried the heat, she said. Where's Joao? I asked. She studied the trilene. Which one? Later, when I filed, I wrote about devices that make your bones tremble and a plank-carved volta, and about a boy whose breath learned the rain again. I didn't write about a mirror-scarred cousin or a man walking backward so the forest would confuse itself and forget to take him. I didn't because I couldn't prove it. Some nights, the pipes in my apartment knock 3 times. Pause. 3. It's the building. It's old. It's just that the sound arrives from behind me, where the window looks on nothing but air, and every time I turn, someone has already stepped away.